So finally I got a chance to put together these videos that I've been saying I was going to do. Exercise videos, strengthening exercise videos for mudlarking, beachcombers, treasure hunters, basically for anyone. This particular program I'm gearing towards people that do what I love to do the most in my free time. So you are seeing me in kind of my alter ego. You've seen me as treasure hunting Matt, now you're seeing me as trainer Matt. Is there a difference? I'm not really sure. It's the same guy. But we're going to definitely go over some really important things in these videos. There's going to be about 10 of them in total. This is the first one going over posture in a standing position and our first actual exercise. There's not going to be any real reason you need any equipment initially to get this program started. But it's really important for me to ask you to get permission from a physician that you are okay to do an exercise program. That's really a safety measure for myself, it's a liability measure. For the most part, these are going to be very basic exercises, and they're going to be really beneficial at helping you become and stay functional at whatever it is you're doing. Beachcombing, metal detecting, mudlarking, any kind of treasure hunting. For the most part, if you're doing those things already, and that's basically what this video is about, then you're functional enough to get out there and do that. So if someone has a really bad knee and they can't barely walk on the knee, well, you're probably not out there treasure hunting and mudlarking.
So what I'm trying to say is we're dealing with active people already. That's not to say that people at home who aren't out there doing things like this can't try these exercises also. They can.
So the first thing we're really looking at before we even get into the 10 exercises is we want to basically go over what is good posture in a standing position. Because there's a lot of issues in the past and what we really knew back then as corrective posture and corrective standing. So for the most part, if you've ever had anyone correct your posture, they always told you to get your shoulder blades back. There's a really important difference now. We don't say shoulder blades back anymore because that tends to create an upward movement pattern of our shoulder blades. What we now kind of cue is a shoulder down position. So I want to make sure my shoulder blades are down. That's one huge common difference from nowadays correcting posture than it was years ago when we just said to get your shoulder blades back. But we're going to do one better than that. Let's start from the beginning. Now, if you can see here, it's really important to practice these exercises without sneakers on. Sneakers create too much support in the bottom of your foot. What we're trying to do is we're trying to create as much muscle activity as we can in just even practicing standing posture. So I don't have sneakers on. I'm in socks. I hope they're clean because I did actually go out this morning mudlarking and I believe I had these socks on. So we don't want sneakers on. You don't have to have a barefoot. They make now a minimalist sneaker that I'm not going to get into. For the most part, I'm not going to wear sneakers right now. So to go over our posture, the first thing I want to look at is my toes should be perfectly straight. My feet are pointing straight. If anything, they can even be slightly turned in, almost an unrecognizable turn in, because you don't want to obviously overturn. But here's the tough part, and you're going to practice this part before we can get into the posture part. Unfortunately, a lot of our sneakers and shoes cause our toes to bunch up towards the center. We are actually supposed to be able to separate our toes. But that's already an exercise of sitting down and just practicing trying to separate your toes like I'm doing with my hand. This can be exercise number one. It's not, but it could be, of practicing spreading your toes apart and recovering. Spreading your toes apart and recovering. Because just from the foot, what we want to do is, in a toe straight standing position, I want my toes apart and I want my toes pushing down to the ground, especially the big toe. So you can practice that again, just sitting down or standing before I go over the rest of the body. My feet want to be pointing forward, my toes out, and my toes pushing down. That's going to create some pressure on the bottom of your foot, that arch of the foot. There's a muscle there. There's a muscle there that we want active. Standing in sneakers all day, anything with a lot of support, it's like going to bed at night. We lay down on a mattress so our muscles relax and we can fall asleep. Then why do we put our foot in a nice cushioned area if we want those muscles to be active? Now I know people are already saying, I've got this foot issue, I got that foot issue, I have orthotics. You can't just stop wearing your stuff immediately. What I want you to do is maybe while you're practicing your exercises is to not use the sneaker, not use the supports, and get your toes apart. So again, just this posture part is going to take a lot of time. So we have standing toe straight position, toes wide, pressure down. Now I'm going to go up the leg. So just that foot position gives my ankle joint some integrity. And this is the basis of what we're trying to teach is we're bringing integrity back to the joints. So as I move up the leg, I want my knee joints locked out. So I'm going to tighten my thigh muscles. That's going to create tension in my knee joint. Now again, there's a lot of differences between anatomical knees amongst all of us. If your knees tend to hyperextend really, really far, that means they go backwards when you knee bend, then you can't lock out completely. But for most of us, our knee joints should lock out safely with the thighs tightening up. Now, that keeps integrity in my knee joint. Now I gotta go to the hips, which is a common cause for a lot of issues. For my hips to stay in a neutral, good posture position, I have to have my quads tight and my butt muscles tight. So we're starting from bottom up, toes out and down, thighs tight so the knee joint is tight, glutes tight so the beginning of my hips start to hold what we call a neutral position. Now if I over contract my glutes, my hips start to go forward. So now I counterbalance that by sucking my belly in. Let's go over it again. You can go back and watch this video as many times again to learn all these cues, which is beneficial to me because we have to watch it more times. But a lot of it is very, very important. So I want to keep a good posture position. So opposing forces is what I'm really looking for. That's a strong straight line. If I have pressure this way and an equal amount of pressure this way. So when I tighten my butt muscles, I also have to pull in my belly. Now that's got my posture locked in from about the top of my ribs down. Now we got to talk about those shoulder blades. Shoulder blades are down. Don't worry about over pulling them back because that'll tend to pull them upwards. I just want to push my shoulders away from my ears. That's going to open up the neck. It's going to set the middle back into a flatter position because we don't want to be into that what we refer as a kyphotic upper thoracic curve. I want that thoracic curve very minimized. It's there, it has to be there. That's what the upper back does. It rounds this way. I don't want it to round excessively. Pulling my shoulders down will help to flatten out some of that curve. So my shoulders are down. If I pull my shoulders down too much, the head's going to start to want to get thrown forward. So there's that opposing force again. Shoulders down, chin in. See how I took my finger and I just pushed my chin in a little bit? That's going to start to straighten out a little bit of the neck curve. Now the neck curve goes this way. We don't want it excessive. We want a slight curve this way. And pulling in the chin will reduce some of that excessive curve. Now that's basically it as far as the posture is concerned, from the feet up. I'm going to review it one more time and you can go back and follow this. You're practicing this for 10-second holds. So what I would do, standing position, I can even look in the mirror if I have to. Toes are straight. Toes apart, pressure down. Now my ankle's locked in. Quads, those are the muscles in the front of the thighs, tight so my knee joint locks in. Now I'm up to the hips. Butt muscles tight, abs sucked in. Now I'm already feeling pretty sturdy from my hips down. Then it's shoulders down, chin in. And once I'm set, I'm going to keep that pressure for a count of 10. Once I hold the 10 seconds, I relax. You can do that 3 times. 3 cycles of 10 seconds on, maybe 30 seconds off, and then repeat 3 times. But go over those posture points. They're really, really, really important to practice for some of the exercise, not some of the exercise, for all the exercises we're going to do in our 10 exercise program. Any questions, leave it in the comment section and you know me, I get back pretty quickly on my comments. I'll get back to you as fast as I can. Remember, these are exercises everyone should be able to do. There's no equipment necessary. Okay, so now you did the posture section of our new training program. Let's talk about the first actual exercise we're going to do. Again, I said before, you're going to want to get a physician's approval that you can start an exercise program. So I said it. You have to go do that. First actual exercise is simply just going to work on, similar to the posture holds that we were doing, building integrity in the joints. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have had trips to the orthopedic. You've had your list of injuries, knees, hips, lower backs. You've probably heard doctors say that there's bone on bone. So what we want to do, and what this whole program is going to start to build up, by building integrity back in the joint, when there is bone on bone, that means the joint has no integrity. It's not holding the bones apart anymore. And that's strictly a strength issue. The muscles are really what holds the joint in place. When the muscles get weak, the bones fall closer and closer to one another, then they bend and rub. That's what creates arthritis. That's what gives the doctors a saying, bone on bone, and that's what's creating a lot of this inflammations. Tendons and ligaments wear down, and then you have all these major replacement issues, hip replacement issues. Well, all we're trying to do is bring integrity back in that joint, from the ankle joint, knee joint, hip joint, lower back vertebrae, they are joints, they need integrity too. Shoulders, neck, we're trying to bring that integrity back. And that's actually what's gonna make us actually taller. And you can see as we get older, whoa, I'm shrinking. You're shrinking because your muscles got weaker. That's what we have to try and fix. Or you were mudlarking the other day and you tweaked your back, or you can't bend right because your knee hurts. That's all a loss of integrity in the joints leading to bigger issues. The fix is strengthening the body. So let's look at real fast. The first exercise in this video, I'm going to show you many other videos, the exercises 2 through 10. This one's number 1. In a standing perfect posture position like you practiced on the first part of this video, all I want to now do is bring one leg up into what we call a march hold. Now notice for now, I'm allowed to hold on. I'm going to take my right leg, I'm going to lift the knee to hip height, and I'm going to create a 90-degree angle here and here. Once I get that 90-degree angle, the exercise is to hold it there for 10 seconds. Now let's talk about the specifics. The leg that comes up, the toes are lifted up and the foot's lifted up. The knee is at hip height and I'm holding the ankle directly under my knee. Now, the leg that's in contact with the ground, that's holding your body weight up, that leg has to be in the posture position we practice. Toes straight or a little bit turned in. Toes wide, and especially the big toe pushing down to the ground. The knee joint needs integrity, right? So we're going to squeeze the thigh and hold that knee joint locked down. Now this foot is up. This knee is at hip height. And if I'm holding on with this arm, you can still pull both shoulders down, abs in, and chin in. And I'm holding that march position for 10 seconds. Most of us should not have a problem balancing on one leg while we're holding on. The ultimate goal is to remove that hand and be able to hold stiffness for 10 seconds without the assistance. Once you hit 10, you have to switch, set up this leg, lift the opposite leg, knee is at hip height, these toes are up, these toes are pushing down and they're spread apart. I'm holding on for balance, both shoulders down, belly in, chin in, and hold stiffness for 10 seconds. That's the beginning stage of building up some integrity already in the hip joint, the knee joint, the ankle joint, and working on your posture while in a one-legged stance. Believe it or not, practicing that and getting better at that will let the knee bend more. Because remember, we're trying to create this phenomenon of the bones now coming back to how they used to be when we were teenagers, more separated, so they can move better. Right now, they're too close and they don't move as well. We think that's a flexibility issue in the muscles. It's not. When we have more joint integrity, we get more range of motion. So there will be no stretching involved in any of these exercises I show you, just strengthening. Again, this video had 2 parts, the posture part, and now this first actual exercise, the march hold. If you have questions on it, please put it in the comment section.